Good afternoon, my name is Andrew Robinson. I'm a student in occupational safety, and for this inspection I've done the fire system at Clean Harbors Environmental Services at the Spring Grove Resource and Recovery Facility, which is located at 4879 Spring Grove Avenue. So to start the presentation, I'd like to first give an introduction on what Clean Harbors does and what the Spring Grove Resource and Recovery Facility actually is. Over here there's a diagram of our buildings. This is our main building, and these are connected offshoots. They're all one building now, but the original building is just this, and then there was a thoroughfare and another building back here, but they're now connected. So Clean Harbors itself as a national company is the leading environmental industrial service provider, as well as the largest hazardous waste disposal company in North America. It was founded in the 1980s by Alan McKim and several other people. Literally a truck, a few guys, and there was an oil spill and they cleaned it up, and they've now developed into what they are today as the largest hazardous waste disposal company. There are over 400 locations that provide waste transportation and disposal services, as well as laboratory and chemical packing services, emergency response services, energy and industrial services, as well as now they are one of the largest oil refiners in the world, in North America. And that brings us to Spring Grove Resource and Recovery. Spring Grove Resource and Recovery is just a TSDF, treatment, storage, and disposal facility. They mostly are a storage facility, storing anywhere from non-hazardous waste, which can be shredded on site, like latex paints and things like that, to flammable waste, to combustible wastes, all the way up to PCBs. The facility used to do fuels blending and oil reclaiming, but now they primarily store things. They have storage tanks that store PCB oils, regular oil that we pump into it to sell to a second-party vendor, and they have a non-hazardous shredder. There are several systems that make up the total fire suppression system at Clean Harbors. There is a wet system, a dry system, a CO2 system, excuse me, a foam system, a dry chemical system, fire extinguishers, and fire hoses, as well as some other components. This first slide here is the wet system. There are 3 risers to the wet system, an original wiring riser and 2 additional risers, which were put in the 2000s about. This is a little plaque on one of the risers that show its specs. All 3 of them have them, and this is a Cintas fire protection service tag. Cintas does all the service on all the fire protection equipment in our plant. It was last serviced just last month, so it's up to date. It's good to go. These risers are capable of running 40 sprinkler heads and discharging a density of 0.30 gallons per minute per square foot over a maximum floor area of 3,000 square feet, operating at a PSI of approximately 69.3. This system is up in the front of the facility. It protects over the main storage facility, as well as the foam system that goes with this system protects over the main storage facility, as well as the wastewater facility and some other facilities near the front of the building. The next system we have here is a dry system. The dry system is located near the back of the building. The non-hazardous shredder is in a 3-sided outdoor building, as well as the storage for that is in an outdoor building, and the truck docks are outdoor. So this system was put in order to prevent the freezing of the pipes. You can see over here it runs a compressor, runs on a compressor air. Here's one of the PSI cages. Here's the riser itself, which offshoots over here and is part of the foam system as well. The water pushes through, the foam will connect to this as well. as the water. This is a CO2 system which is no longer in use. Back behind this wall is a device known as Pegasus. Pegasus was a fuels blending processor. It no longer is in operation because it's more effective to do it at another plant than this plant. The system is still there though because Clean Harbors wants the option to ever start it up if they had to. So talk about the foam system. Here's a foam storage tank. There are two of these tanks on site. One is back here with the dry system. The other is in the front with the wet system. The foam system was put in the 2000s. It is designed by Inzel, as you can see, and each of these tanks can store 500 gallons. And it's designed for Class A and B fires. The reason we have them is for Class B fires because we have a lot of polar solvents and hydrocarbons on site as a hazardous waste disposal facility. So it's possible that we would need to have a better way of suppressing a fire if one were to occur. These are our three types of sprinkler heads that are located. Two of them are water heads for the water systems. This one is in the front in the main buildings as well. This one's in the offices as well as the wastewater building and one of the storage areas. And this one is their foam sprinkler head, I believe, or is in the system with the foam sprinkler heads. So now we're on to control panels. There are two fire control panels and an alarm system here. This is the fire control panel that runs the dry system, the foam system, and the CO2 system, all on one fire panel. You can't see all the lights for some reason. I had it opened and there are more command panels there, but I believe they've blocked out the CO2 monitor panels. This is the panel that runs the front wet system. Both of these panels are interlinked to this alarm system, which allows for office personnel to be notified. It also allows for notification when the plant is not in operation, as the plant only operates 2 shifts. So the alarm company will get notified whenever the panels go off, if it's a fire or an error, and they'll be able to make the call on whether to make sure the fire department's dispatched or to notify the general manager. Just as when the plant's open, if the fire panel doesn't automatically notify the fire department, the alarm system the company will be sure that the fire department has been notified to arrive. In the plant, we rely on fire extinguishers as well as an overall system. There are 5 different types of fire extinguishers. All 5 are pictured here. So we'll start over here with the first one. There's an AFFF foam fire extinguisher. This is to go with our foam system. There is a normal ABC fire extinguisher. This is in areas, these are all over the plant, especially by the exits. There is a Class D combustible metals fire extinguisher here. There are 2 of these on site as well as a few extra spares. One is over where they do most of the receiving of drums, while the other is over where metals would be stored. This is a specialized dry chemical fire extinguisher for oxidizers, which is right outside the oxidizer berm. And this is a dry chemical extinguisher. There are 2 of these located, one in each of the main buildings. That brings us on to the shredder area. The major thing that the facility does is non-hazardous shredder. So this is the non-hazardous shredder, the mixing tub, and the excavator that does that. The shredder system is different than the other buildings. As the building is exposed, it does use the dry system. It also uses the foam system, but unlike the other systems, there's some added things to the back system. There's smoke detectors, which are not in the rest of the building. There's heat sensors, which are also not in the rest of the building. So if the smoke detector goes off, there's a deluge system, as you see here, push to activate, pull to deactivate, that will automatically activate as well as can be manually activated if a smoke detector deems it necessary to activate it. There is also the foam system out there that will automatically activate when the heat sensors deem it necessary to active. And for the employees to assist for like small fires, there's a fire hose and several fire extinguishers located out in this building. This is the only major equipment left on site. Most of what is done is driving of forklifts and moving hazardous waste on and off of trucks. So if a fire happens, that's where it's going to happen. There are several components, 3 of which are pictured here, that need to be discussed. We have over here our fire pull alarm handles. There are only a few of these, 1 by 2 of the fire exits and 2 in the middle of the plant that I saw, and a few in the office area. The exit doors, you can't see it because it's on the other side, are equipped with emergency exit alarms that are supposed to trigger the fire alarm, but they have been disconnected. We have a fire bell up here above one of the fire pull handles. I noticed on the blueprints I looked at and while I was walking around, there are only 3 of these fire bells. 1 in High Bay, which is the main building, 1 in F building, which is a storage building, and 1 out on the in the shredder building. So, and those are the only warning systems involved. And here we have a fire hose. We have several of these throughout the plant. This is not like the one in the shredder building. This is a different one. These, when activated, will automatically dispatch the fire department that there is a problem. Not pictured here, we have automatic fire doors. The fire doors, when there's a fire in an area, will be automatically closed to restrict the fire to that area, as the nature of the waste, we would not want fires to spread to other areas, as some of it is more flammable than others. It's best to contain them. So, a little bit more, after doing the inspection, we've noticed several things. That, 1, there are very few pull handles. If someone needed to activate a fire system because it did not go off, the fire alarm, there is not a lot of places to do so. The warning devices. There are only 3 warning bells. There are no flashing lights. There are no warning devices in the offices other than the alarm system itself will make a loud noise. So there's none of that. So that's one of our problems. Another problem we have is employee training. Employees don't really know the fire systems in the building and what they do and they barely know what to do in the case of an evacuation. They know the fire alarm goes off and we need to evacuate. There's not a very good plan to evacuation. There's not training on the different systems that are used and how they work. There's training on fire extinguishers, but there's only training on the ABC fire extinguisher, not all the fire extinguishers. So I think one of the things that needs to be done is we need to train our employees better on the systems, how they work, and how to operate the manual components of the system, like the fire extinguishers, the fire hoses, the deluge system, different things of that nature, the different fire extinguishers. While we're here, we'll talk a little bit about fire codes. I don't know a lot of the fire codes off the top of my head, or know a lot about fire codes, as I'm a safety major. I know a little bit, I know enough to get by. But a TSDF falls under special provisions. There are all kinds of extra provisions that fall in line with a TSDF, which we do follow strictly. There's special provisions due to the combustible and flammable nature of things that are stored on site, as well as the fact that they're more prone to fire explosion due to the chemicals and the fact that they could mix and cause an explosion. And so one of the things you have to have in place is a plan for the worst. So we have that plan. It's really long and really long and hard to understand, but we have a plan in place for that. So this is my presentation. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.